Alex, I was out in the garage yesterday trying to find a specific half-inch Forstner bit, and I ended up moving 3 stacks of scrap plywood just to find a bucket of rusted hinges I forgot I even bought. It's a Monday, and my lower back feels like it was used as an anvil for a week straight.
Maybe if you didn't treat your floor like a filing cabinet, Tiger, we'd be starting the show with a little more spring in your step.
It's not a filing cabinet, it's archaeological layering. The deeper I dig, the further back in my career I go. But it's fitting, actually. We're talking about the tech-powered trades today and seeing how the high-end industrial world is moving. My digging through a pile of metal method is officially a relic of the past.
I saw the notes for today. The 2026 Fab 40 rankings just dropped. It sounds like the metal fabrication world isn't just growing, it's mutating into some kind of high-tech monster.
It's the data centers, man. Everyone wants their cloud to stay up, but nobody thinks about the miles of precision-cut steel racks and cooling infrastructure required to keep those servers from melting into a puddle of silicon. The contract fabricators are the ones getting the call. And the tools? It's like science fiction. Mazak just released a new laser line that's actually affordable for a mid-sized shop. I remember when a laser cutter cost more than a literal house. Now the barrier to entry is dropping. It's like the industry finally realized that the little guy needs to cut high-precision shapes too.
Affordable is relative though, right? Are we talking new truck affordable or I can't afford groceries for a year affordable?
Well, let's just say you might be eating a lot of ramen, but your cuts will be accurate to within a hair's breadth. And Sweet Dynamics just put out this dynamic job shop software. It's supposed to bridge the gap between the front office, where the suits are, and the shop floor, where the guys are actually covered in grease.
Because heaven forbid the people in the office actually talk to the people with the wrenches.
Exactly, it's designed for the make-to-order world. It tracks a project from the moment a customer says, I want this weird metal thing, to the moment it hits the shipping pallet. I've lived through the alternative, trying to find a crumpled up work order that's currently being used as a coaster for a lukewarm coffee. It's a nightmare. It makes you feel like you're running a business out of a shoebox.
Speaking of those guys with the wrenches, you wanted to talk about plumbing, which I have to say is usually the part of the show where I prepare to hear about someone's basement becoming an indoor swimming pool.
Don't remind me. I once tried to sweat a copper joint while there was still a trickle of water in the line. I spent 40 minutes wondering why the solder wouldn't flow before I realized I was basically trying to boil the entire municipal water supply with a propane torch.
We've all been there, but the report from Plumbing and Mechanical is actually pretty serious. They're saying certification is the new unfireable status.
It really is. We're seeing a shift. It's not enough to be the person who can fix stuff. The 2026 labor market is obsessed with career readiness. If you got those industry-recognized certs, you aren't just a plumber, you're an infrastructure technician. There's a story in our notes about a master plumber who survived the 2008 crash. Everyone else was folding, but she had her certifications locked down and a network that went deeper than a well.
It makes sense. When the economy gets a case of the shakes, people might stop building new mansions, but they never stop needing their toilets to work. It's the ultimate safety net.
It's about building a fortress around your career. You don't just learn the trade, you document the knowledge. It's the difference between being a guy with a toolbox and being a professional who owns their future.
Okay, let's pivot. Every time I open Shopify lately, I feel like I'm being hunted by hand-poured candles and artisanal dovetail boxes. Is there still room for newcomers in the maker economy, or is it getting too crowded in the garage?
It's crowded if you're selling what everyone else is selling. If you're the 10th person on the block making a basic cutting board, you're just fighting for crumbs.
But the data for 2026 shows that handmade is still a premium label. The trick, and this is something I had to learn by failing miserably at selling custom shelves, is to stop selling objects and start selling solutions.
Explain that. You mean like, don't sell a hammer, sell the hole in the wall?
Sort of. Shopify's research says bundled solutions are the goldmine right now. Instead of selling a single ceramic mug, you sell a morning ritual kit with a locally roasted coffee and a hand-turned wooden coaster. You're curating an experience. People will pay a 40% markup if you take the thinking out of it for them.
So, less here is a thing I made, and more, here is how this thing makes your life feel more like a Pinterest board.
Precisely. And high-margin niches are where the oxygen is. Sustainable personal care, custom home decor that fits specific small apartment dimensions. That's where the maker moguls are actually paying their mortgages.
Let's get into the dirt. The weekend warrior stuff. You mentioned reclaimed metal sheds. Is this an aesthetic choice, or is it just because new lumber costs more than a fine steak these days?
A little bit of both. I watched the Maker Channel series on corrugated metal roofing. If you can get your hands on some old rusty sheets and scrub them down, you get this industrial chic look that people pay thousands for in high-end boutiques. Plus, it's basically bulletproof.
And what about this hardware-free workshop idea? You're telling me people are building drawers without metal slides? That sounds like a recipe for a drawer that gets stuck the first time the humidity hits 60%.
Spoken like someone who hasn't discovered the magic of a properly waxed wooden runner. Look, metal slides are great until they're not. They're expensive, and they dictate the size of your cabinet. Building wooden slides, using something like a bird's mouth joint or a classic piston fit, it's like a rite of passage. It's joinery at its most honest.
It sounds like a lot of sanding, Tiger. My arms hurt just thinking about it.
It is a lot of sanding, but there's a satisfaction in it that you don't get from screwing in a piece of zinc-plated hardware from a big box store. When that drawer slides shut with a soft whoosh of air, that's the sound of mastery.
You're such a nerd for this.
Oh, absolutely. But if you want to be a modern nerd, you go the 3D printing route. We've seen a huge surge in modular shelf units specifically for 3D printing enthusiasts. Organizing filament is the bane of my existence. It's like trying to manage a box of angry snakes that also happens to be sensitive to moisture.
I've seen those prints. They look like honeycomb structures on the walls. It's very future tech.
It is. And that brings us full circle. Whether you're using a multi-million-dollar Mazak laser or a 3D printer that fits on your desk, the goal is the same, making something that didn't exist yesterday.
So, what's the big takeaway for the TigerDen family this week? We've covered everything from industrial infrastructure to wooden drawers.
I think it's this. The world is getting more digital, but it's still built on physical things. Whether you're a fabricator, a plumber, or a hobbyist, your value lies in the intersection of your skill and the tools you use to amplify it. Don't be afraid of the tech, embrace the laser, download the 3D plans, but never let it replace the fundamentals.
Basically, get the certs, use the tech, but keep your chisels sharp.
Well said. And maybe clean up your scrap pile before you trip over it and end up in the ER. So,
That's advice I think we can all live by.
thanks for hanging out in the den today. Go build something you're proud of, even if it's just a better way to store your screwdrivers. We'll see you next time.